Did you know that 10% of podcasts actually survive until the fourth episode? Most people will give up. And of that 10%, only a further 10% actually survives until episode 21. And we've just made it. So we're in that top 1%. Let's go. Okay, cool. Just a quick shout out to Tony, our producer, for supporting 21 episodes so far. And we're going to keep going. So little claps for Tony. Yay. Now, let's start the podcast. Today, we've got quite a lot to discuss, especially because the spring statement was out last week. And also, we've been talking about finishing up Q1. We are now in April, which is great. It's springtime. We've got a nice sense of fresh energy. Let's go, let's start again. So there's lots to discuss. We've got a sponsor too, which is fantastic. We're going to be talking about investment as well, what to look out for, what certain things mean. And this is off the back of an email that we received. Someone asked us to explain something. So that's going to be a great part, a segment in this episode. Welcome all to our financial wellness podcast, From Roots to Fruits, where we nurture our roots to grow more delicious fruits. I'm your host, Arlyne. Let's get started. Okay, so the first question was, when should I start investing? And really, the answer to this is as soon as possible. Have you seen those memes? Start investing before you're born, you should start investing. But actually, if we're going to be realistic, it should probably be as soon as you start earning enough, as soon as you start clearing your debt, and as soon as you have enough savings too. There are some people that are fortunate enough to be given wealth through inheritance or having parents that started investing for them when they were young. But this is not a race. Everyone is in their own individual journey. I've said that so much on this podcast. And I think it's true because we put so much pressure on ourselves. So if you haven't started, that's okay. We can start today. All right. So we've talked about investing on several episodes as well. We've had a couple of experts join us to talk about the instruments you can invest in. And so we won't go over the details of that. It's more, when should you start? And the answer to that should be as soon as you've got spare cash, spare capital. And you really need to be mindful that if you invest, you might lose that money. So invest anything that you feel like this is spare. If I was to lose it, I'm not going to go hungry tomorrow. So be careful, because a lot of influencers, a lot of information out there would advise you to take out debt to invest. Now, if you were to lose that money, now you're left with a lot of debt that you need to figure out how you're going to pay that off. So you really need to be mindful where you put your money. Now, the next topic is compound interest. So this is something that is really, really great if you start investing early, but you only reap the benefits if you are in it for the long haul. So if you're saving for a number of years, for example, that's when you can really start to see the benefits of compound interest. Okay, so compounding is when your investment earnings generate even more earnings over time. Essentially, it's when you put away, for example, £1,000, and that £1,000 earns an interest of maybe 7%. If you leave that amount, that's £1,070, if you leave it and now you're earning interest on your interest. So that £70 is reinvested, and then you start to earn more from the interest that you've gained. However, if you take out the money, then you're not going to benefit from this. And also you'll start to really see the benefits over a long time. So here's a little example for you. Okay, so here's a little basic example, assuming that you the interest is earned annually, but actually it's most likely going to be more frequent than that, depending on what you're investing in. So if you were to invest £1,000, this year in 2025, by next year, if you earn 7% on that, then you've got £1,070. Fantastic. So that full amount is reinvested and then you earn a further 7% on top of that. So you end up earning £1,144 and so on and so on and so on. So it increases a lot quicker than if you were just kind of putting in a small amount and you're only earning interest on what you've put in. This means that the interest that you've earned is actually making you money. This is what they mean when they say, your money is working hard for you. You're not working hard for your money. Okay, so the key takeaway there is the longer your money is invested, the more you benefit from compounding. Okay, so these are the reasons that a few people have said that they can't start investing. So we're just debunking some myths. I need a lot of money to start. No, you don't. You can start with as little as you have. There are so many apps now, especially if you're based in the UK. There are apps that will help you start investing with a very little. So you can look into that. So I won't say the names of some apps, but you can look into some where you can start investing very little every month. Investing is too risky. Yes, it can be. A lot of things are risky. However, if you do your research and you're only willing to invest an amount that you can genuinely lose and it doesn't affect you, then that's okay. But if you take a risk on something and make sure you do your research in terms of, are things secure? How protected are they? Is the platform that you're using, is it regulated? If you do your due diligence, then this means that you're reducing the amount of risk in losing your money. However, yes, it is risky. If you think of not doing anything, if you think the amount that you might lose down to inflation, if you were to just leave your money in the bank, then there's a great risk there. So according to AJ Bell, there is 253 billion cash sitting in bank accounts that aren't earning anything. So they're not in savings accounts. It's just sitting there. So that's a great risk, actually, if you're not putting your money somewhere where it can start earning you something. So that's something to take into account. And the last statement to debunk is I need to wait until I have no debt. I mean, I would definitely say that absolutely the first thing you should look into is reducing your debt or clearing it, getting it under control, and then you start to invest. But you can work on both at the same time if you learn to manage your money really well. So make sure that you've got, all your fundamentals right. So we talked about, your goals for the year. So look out for episode 20 and the episode in January as well, where we talked about when you should start investing. So you need to make sure that you have paid off all the problem debt, and then also you are saving for your emergency fund. You have looked at your budget and, you've got your plan set for the year, and then you can start putting away something towards investments. But they've made it so easy to invest now with loads of different apps. So you can start very, very little. So you're not actually taking away from your other goals. But yeah, this is one to be mindful of. So here are the steps that we're going to take. The year is about to finish. So if you haven't taken advantage of your tax-free allowance for your ISA, then make sure you do that. There's still time. If not, you can open up an ISA whenever you're ready, to be honest, and then start putting away a little bit. There are stocks and shares ISAs, there's a cash ISA as well, or you could open up a pension account as well, where you can start to save very little, have your own personal pension on the side. Start small and make consistent investments. You could start with as little as £50 or £100 a month, and that will really start to amount to something very quickly. And focus on long-term growth. rather than short-term goals. Investing is really for the long haul. Think about that and don't get spooked when, all the news that has been coming out recently with the economic situation right now. There's so many wars that might start. We're already in loads of wars at the moment. And this means that the economy is not certain right now, which might spook a few people, meaning the markets aren't steady at all. But leave your money, because over time you can see that overall they're always appreciating. So kind of think about this. Do not get spooked right now. And also be careful if you're going to put your money towards something because the stock market is down right now. Buy low, buy low. All that we're hearing right now is fine. Just make sure that you do your research ahead of time. It is never too early to start planning for your retirement. And that's where our sponsor, PensionBee, comes in. PensionBee are on a mission to build pension confidence and create a world where everyone can enjoy a happy retirement. Whether you've moved around jobs a lot and are looking to consolidate your pension into one easy to manage plan, or you're self-employed looking for a flexible pension plan which allows you to contribute as much or as little as you like depending on your income. It's easy to sign up and you can do this via the link in the show notes. So, what are you waiting for? Take control of your retirement today, and remember, when investing, your capital is at risk. Now let's discuss the spring statement. It's a statement meaning that it wasn't a budget, so we shouldn't find out loads compared to kind of the budget that came out at the end of last year. However, there was loads of emphasis on things that the government wants to work on. And yeah, we had some updates from our favorite influencers. I'll just show you Anna Brading's posts that she posted online, so you can hear it from her since she was there live and in action at Downing Street. So let's listen.
I've just been in the Chancellor's press conference after her spring statement, which will have real impact on your money. So here are some things you need to know, especially if you're trying to stay on top of your money this year. And I'm going to prioritise these in order of the things that you said to me yesterday were most important to you. First up, there's no changes to taxes, but speculation is growing around reforms to ISAs, possibly limiting or adjusting tax-free allowances. Living costs are rising. From April, expect higher energy, water and council tax bills. However, wages are now growing faster than prices. If you or someone close to you is on benefits, major changes are coming. And inflation has gone down from 3% in January to 2.8%. Tell me what you think. What do you make of what was announced today? And how do you think it might affect your finances?
I received my council tax bill and it has gone up by 5%, which just feels absolutely crazy. Everything is going up right now, but fortunately, list bills, my electricity and gas, it's not as bad because we're getting into springtime, but I definitely can feel the pinch right now. And although they have said that tax is not changing, however, NI for employers is going up. And this means that, the amount that is left for businesses, especially if you're a small business owner, speaking as myself, I'm a small business owner, you definitely, every pound, you can feel it. So NI increasing for employers, it doesn't affect the employee, fine. However, it affects the businesses. And this means that maybe some business owners, if they were going to give you a pay rise, they won't, because now, the money that they had put set aside for a pay rise is now going towards national insurance. So it kind of affects you in a way. It's not direct, so they can get away with saying that they haven't increased tax. However, it feels like it. Something else that they discussed is around tightening up penalties and making sure that the processes for the government are robust enough to catch people out. So if you're someone who ignores deadlines for submitting things, they will be on it in terms of issuing out penalties and putting interest on those penalties to get more from you. So if you are a business owner, you really need to get clued up about what you need to do to submit everything on time and how you should do that. So get in touch with an accountant. You can get in touch with us. We definitely can support you to manage your finances and to submit things on time. And also, there is speculation around self-assessment returns, maybe submitting them more frequently. You're not paying more tax. However, you're submitting your self-assessment, 5 times in the year. So that will be on a quarterly basis and then at the end of the year as well. Feels like overkill. They probably need to make sure that their systems are really robust and can take this amount of work, and the people that are working behind the scenes, that they've got everything together so that they can work out what they need to work out on time. However, if VAT runs on a quarterly basis and that seems to be working, then I'm sure they can sort out self-assessment. One area that has been debated quite a lot around benefits, especially for people that are disabled. This has been taken negatively, of course, because a lot of people find it hard to go back into work for various reasons. And I really hope that this process is managed really well, because the people that are struggling are really struggling. And for them to be claiming, universal credit, it must be serious. So I really hope that they put in the right people, the right process, the right systems to make sure that this change is managed effectively and efficiently. Now, something that we shouldn't be surprised about as well, with the threats of, wars kind of going on for longer and everything that's been coming out of the news of late, then defense spending is going to go up. Therefore, it's taking up a big chunk of the budget. So we just need to be mindful of that. Where they have to increase the defense, spending, they're going to have to take it away from somewhere. And this might be the first instance, the first draft, meaning maybe next year it will be a bigger cut if something really actually pops off in terms of an actual war happening where we are heavily involved. So on that, I really hope that everyone is working on making sure that they've got their savings on the side, their emergency fund, and they're paying off debt, just to make sure that if anything happens, there's more uncertainty coming. Maybe costs might increase. Right now, they're trying to give us a narrative, a story that actually the economy is not as bad. And actually, there's growth that's going to be happening soon with everything that they're implementing. However, knowing what we know about America and knowing what we know about the war that's happening everywhere, to be honest, the wars that are happening, then it just feels like it's a time to really sit down and make sure that your budget is robust. So I know everything sounds really scary right now, especially my last message, but I would like to sprinkle some positivity, especially when you start to look at things with a different perspective. Just remember that there have been uncertain times in history. However, things keep going, and we just need to make sure that we think about the long term. So when it comes to investing, you're thinking about, 10, 20, 30 years getting a return for yourself. Economic uncertainty is definitely something that is normal. The news likes to exaggerate things, and I know during the message today, a part of it is around planning and a part of it is awareness of all the things that are happening that bring uncertainty. That's fair. However, you need to remember that history has had wars, history has had economic crashes, yet people keep going. So just stay positive. Make sure that you have your plan. Make sure that you are putting some money away. You've got your emergency fund, you're paying off your debt, and then you should be fine. Let's just stay positive, but also make sure that you are doing anything that you can to prepare for anything, essentially. It's springtime right now and we've just gone through winter. So you just need to remember that one season ends, whenever there is a cold winter, there's going to be a spring that comes about next. Every day we've got darkness and then a new day comes along. So just stay positive. But here are practical steps that you can take in order to protect yourself. Build an emergency fund. That's 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses. Diversify your investments. So maybe invest in assets that might be across different geographical locations or different assets as well. So maybe one could be property, the other could be stocks, the other could be in a small business. The other could be in gold or in actual physical assets. It could be in art, books, that sort of thing. So just think about diversifying your investment. Reduce unnecessary debt and make sure that you're paying off the highest interest rate debt first. So you can do that, and also increase your financial literacy. So you're already listening to this, therefore you're taking the first steps. Maybe also think about increasing your income streams. So you can look into having maybe a side hustle, or you've got a passion project that you already have. Can you make money from that? Maybe you have a talent or, a presenter, therefore you can start to go and charge for your skills. You're a speaker. Maybe you want to go on social media and start earning from that. It's not going to be easy, but it's really important to think about diversifying your skills, diversifying your income, and increasing how much is coming in and how much you are saving. So those are the steps that you can start to take right now. Again, stay calm, stick to your financial plan, and remember that resilience is key. We'll be okay. That is all for us today, guys. Join us next week for some more seeds to sow. And please remember to support us by following and leave a rating on our show on whichever platform you're listening to us from. To those watching on YouTube, please leave a like and a subscribe to our channel. All of your support goes a long way. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, keep shining.